Hello, friends. How are you all today? So back in 2015, this German film "Look Who's Back" came out. Even though I've watched this film and it was remarkably funny, a genuinely laugh out loud experience. The entire thing was basically a left wing film to basically say, look, if you have a problem with mass migration and you have a problem with Islam, coming into Germany and all untold numbers of foreigners basically just, displacing the German people in Germany, then that sort of rhetoric is basically going to lead us all the way back to Hitler. There will be a second coming of Hitler, and it will be basically, and so because of this, you just need to put up with gay race communism, right? That's kind of the gist of the film. That's what it intended to say. But I have to say that this entire film, as funny as it was, as well written as it was, as strong as the acting was, it does have its shortcomings. It does have its flaws. And that is one of the things that we in the West are often, very much criticized for, which is, of course, having a very Western-centric view of the world. We think that everything operates around ourselves. And this film is a prime example of that, because you see, the Germans, in their hubris, expected that only they could possibly produce another Adolf Hitler, when in fact they were looking in the wrong place, when they should have been looking all along at Namibia. Now, I realise that this is all very low-hanging fruit, but you must forgive me because it was simply too funny a story for me to possibly ignore and not pass comment on. And so here we have it. Adolf Hitler's namesake triumphs in Namibia local elections the 5th time in a row. Wow, this Hitler guy sounds like a real statesman. He sounds really charismatic. He really sounds like he's a champion of the folk, of Das Folk. He must have a really good set of policies behind him to have 5 rows of successful elections under the belt. So let's learn a little bit more about him, shall we? So it says, a local politician in Namibia shares his name with Nazi Germany's notorious leader and has retained his seat for the 5th time in a row. Adolf Hitler Unona has represented Umpunja, I think, Umpunja, in the Oshana region since 2004 as a member of the SWAPO, which is the left-wing ruling party in Namibia, which has basically been in place there since 1990 and its independence from South Africa. So it says that the 59-year-old has been a popular figure in the small northern constituency of less than 5,000 residents, despite his namesake's legacy, winning the election of 85% of the vote in 2020. And so we can really see here that these two are not of a similar ilk whatsoever. Whereas the German version had grand plans for Europe, this one is merely a humble local councillor doing his work, helping his people. In an interview with the German newspaper Bild in 2020, when he won his 4th mandate, he said that he had nothing to do with Nazi ideology. Well, I never thought you did, Adolf. I never thought you did. It wasn't until I was growing up that I realised this man wanted to subjugate the whole world. I have nothing to do with any of these things. No, I believe you, Mr. Hitler. I believe you. As a child, I saw it as a totally normal name. It does not mean I have Adolf Hitler's character or resemble that of Adolf Hitler of Germany. But then he also, and this is for me just the cherry on top, he basically says that he's not planning to change his name, though, because it's already, and I quote, too late for that. The damage has been done. The world knows that Hitler is back. The question is, what would we dare to do to stop such a man of deep charisma, of the chuddish African variety, who is surely going to basically, why stop at 5? I'm sure he could, he's still got some age left in him yet. I'm sure he could run for 10 consecutive terms. And then after that, maybe his son afterwards, who we can also name Adolf Hitler. Why let the joke run out in our lifetimes? Obviously, there is a wider explanation to this as well, which is that Namibia, being a previous German colony, obviously will have had a lot of names taken up over its time from, obviously, from Germany. And I suspect that in 1959, I don't know, I suppose just some news didn't reach the far off rural, distant villages of Namibia quite so fast about that whole minor event in world history known as World War II. And so, therefore, it was thought of as a very, very good name. But of course, it's a bit strange to suggest his father wouldn't have known who Adolf Hitler was, because the coincidence of those two names coming together is just too sheer. But I do actually, for all of the enjoyment that I've had in sort of presenting this little daily for you, I am remarkably sorry, ladies and gentlemen, to say that all good things must come to an end. And we have here the defeat, not electorally, but of the name. And it turns out that Namibia's Adolf Hitler is going to change his birth name. Now, this is obviously, I know you're disappointed, I'm disappointed, but I suppose this is a consequence of this news cycle coming round every time this man is up for election. There always seems to be a news story coming out about how funny it is that Adolf Hitler has won again. And so he says that he has changed his name. He's still keeping it as Adolf and Nona. He's merely removing the Hitler part. So you can still call him Adolf and be technically correct. But ultimately, names have a way of surviving through the ages. Things will live on. And I do think that Mr. Adolf Hitler of Namibia will probably be remembered for all time, not only by his constituents, but by the entire world.